Hello and welcome to the Purple Druid podcast. My name is Steven, and today I'm going to be talking about really, I guess, whatever is on my mind. So sit back, grab yourself a cup of coffee and a cigarette or, whatever, and enjoy. We have a little bit of commentary. I just watched a video on NotJay's Tabletop channel, an interview with Mr Wargaming, and they covered quite a few topics that I found very interesting. And so I'm just going to comment on these at random. First of all, there was a little talk of chainmail, which I plan on exploring extensively in the coming year. Mr. Wargaming mentioned that I was working on a campaign system for chainmail, and that is true. And he said that there is already a campaign system called Dungeons & Dragons, which is essentially true. However, Dungeons & Dragons can be a difficult game to play by oneself. If you're just interested in the larger battles and perhaps a war campaign as opposed to the exploits of individuals, then a different system is required. And I'm going to use the solo wargaming system and the 1 hour skirmish battles system to generate battles in the vein of an actual war campaign. It may be fun to run a Dungeons & Dragons campaign simultaneously within this milieu, but I believe that additional resources are necessary. In addition, there was some commentary about multi-scale campaigns, and people talked about using different game systems to play, perhaps an invasion from outer space, and then land battles and things like that. And I thought that was really interesting because a few years ago, a friend of mine and I did a campaign where we ran a full thrust battle of starships, one being the defensive fleet for a planet and the other being an invasion fleet. And then the ships that survived were able to land and or discharge their cargo. And we fought a few battles on the planet's surface, which was a lot of fun. And some of those battles are recorded via photographs on my Flickr account. I will put links to the Flickr photos in the description below. Also, back in the 90s, we used to play Warhammer Fantasy Battle quite extensively. And we also used the skirmish rules for individual leaders and smaller missions and things like that, and just kind of mixed together with the Warhammer Fantasy Battles in a larger sort of campaign. We didn't have the Mighty Armies set to track the campaigns, but we did experiment with different scales of battle, and it was a lot of fun. And I think that these are fairly easy to put together. You do need a commitment from your group to participate, and you do need a calendar and something like a tournament bracket in order to schedule who is playing whom. There was also some discussion about Braunstein, the original domain game. And that's really where I'm going with the chainmail deep dive, as well as the campaign system, is I'm very interested in the sort of domain game that Dave Arneson and Gary Gygax and the Upper Midwestern crew playing back in the day. It's my contention that the domain game preceded Dungeons & Dragons as a format. And there are various places on the internet where you can find hints and scraps of information that point to that. There's been some research that says B2, Keep on the Borderlands, may have originated as a chainmail battle and was turned into an adventure module for individual characters, which I believe to be the truth. And one of my bucket list goals for 2022 is actually to assemble the miniatures required to play out that battle. So that'll be a lot of fun. But basically, the domain game is what I'm really after here. That's going to be the focus of the explorations and the videos that I'll be doing, primarily because I want to find out the questions. There are quite a few unknown unknowns. I don't know what I don't know about the domain game. So I'll be studying various rules, various rule sets from different manufacturers, different writers, and doing some comparisons and things like that. So pay attention, stay tuned. That will be something we'll be getting into. If you have questions about that, or if you know that you also are lacking information about how to run a domain game, or there are specific questions you have, please leave them below in the comments, and I will add those to the list of research. Let's see here. The final thing I wanted to discuss was they were talking about the future, and one of the comments made was that 54 millimeter gaming would be coming back. And some of the commenters on the stream mentioned terrain, and I believe that that is the number one reason why 54 millimeter gaming will not come back. Games Workshop tried that years ago with Inquisitor, and it was a very exciting sounding game. It looked really cool. They had some cool models. However, no one wants to build a whole table full of 54 millimeter terrain, let alone several tables full, in order to play these games and when they look cool. So where would you store all that? I mean, everything's going to be 4 times as large as your 28 millimeter terrain that you generally would have a bunch of already. And so I just don't think that that is conducive to additional, format of gaming. I don't think 54 millimeter is going anywhere soon. The proof in the pudding, when Inquisitor came out, I do recall that my group, we were very, very involved in gaming every week. Everybody showed up. We had a big group, super, super enthusiastic. And the first thing we did was the first thing that everyone else did, is we took those rules and applied them to 28 millimeter miniatures. And you can still see it today, where the Inc. 28 community is still very strong and doing some really incredible work. So that's what I've got for you today. Just something short and sweet. I need to keep these short so that YouTube will let me upload them. So I hope to do this once a week or so, maybe less often, maybe more. So if you got any thoughts, comments, commentary, suggestions, jokes, please type them into the little box below. And I look forward to speaking to you again soon.